We're back! Welcome back to another episode of The Download, the show where we cover the latest developer news and open source projects. Please like and subscribe. I'm Andrea, and I debug all this news so you don't have to. Let's get into it. GitHub announced their official remote MCP server. Alongside the local server, this hosted remote GitHub MCP brings some serious capabilities. You can install it instantly in VS Code or simply paste the server URL into any MCP compatible host. You now have secure access using OAuth 2.0 with SAML enforcement to ensure scope and safe authentication. And it runs to the same code base as the local server, so it'll deliver all updates without you having to do any maintenance. Unlike code-only AI assistants, this server gives your tools a full project view, enabling dynamic workflows like automating PRs or triaging issues. Explore it today on GitHub's official repository at github.com/github-mcp-server. And Microsoft is also jumping into the MCP fray with their new Azure DevOps MCP server, now in public preview. This open source solution leverages the same MCP protocol and enables natural language commands to manage work items, pipelines, and a lot more. And here's what it delivers: a quick setup via single npx command in VS Code, real-time queries like list my ADO projects, flexible authentication with Azure Identity, PATS, or Azure CLI. This server empowers AI to automate complex stacks like optimizing your pipelines or managing your backlog, all with full project context. A great move to make DevOps smarter. And in more open source news, the Linux Foundation has announced the FAIR Package Manager, a federated open source repository shaking up WordPress plugin and theme distribution. This to help address supply chain security head-on. So now FAIR offers decentralized updates to break free from single-source risk, GDPR-compliant privacy controls for user trust, cryptographic security for verified tamper-proof packages, and a federated ecosystem welcoming trusted community contributions. It is now live and open for submissions. FAIR is setting up a new benchmark for secure, vendor-neutral package management, and let's hope it influences a lot of other platforms. And in GitHub news, open source developers, this is your moment. Applications are open for the open source zone at GitHub Universe. This is your chance to demo your project, connect with contributors, and grow your impact, all with GitHub support. So whether you're a solo maintainer or part of a well-funded project, this space is going to put your work in front of thousands of developers. Apply now by submitting your project by July 31st. You can head on over to gh.io/open-source-zone to apply. And in wild gaming news, y'all, let's dive into Nitrom's Bold Swing with Mousework, a party game that's shaken up the recently launched Nintendo Switch 2. They built this without a dev kit. Nitrom basically pieced together clues from Nintendo's January 2025 trailer to tap into the console's mouse controls. They rigged up a computer mice strapped to Joy-Cons for testing. Talk about being resourceful. This game joins a wave of Switch 2 titles like Cyberpunk 2077 and Civilization 7, all leaning into mouse controls for that flash game vibe that is pure nostalgia with a next-gen twist. You can check out the official Mousework reveal trailer on YouTube. I, for one, cannot wait to get my hands on a Nintendo Switch 2. And in GitHub Swag news, you can now commit to comfort. The 2025 DevCore collection is available now and is optimized for clean code and correct style. Think header caps, footer socks, and very bright t-shirts like the one I'm wearing. You can grab yours today at thegithubshop.com. And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in this week into The Download. Smash that like button, please subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll see you next time for more tech news. Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you're joining. Welcome to another Open Source Friday. I missed y'all last week. Also, let's make sure people can hear me. Can I get a thumbs up? Maybe from Ivan, who's behind the scenes. Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. For those of you who are new to this stream, this is Open Source Friday, a weekly on Friday stream where we cover open source projects that are just doing amazing things. And today's project does not fall short of that description. So I'm super excited to have with us the CEO and co-founder of this project, and we're going to dig into that. But before we get started, I do want to take a quick moment to acknowledge some sad news that I've just learned this morning. And I just wanted to send a little bit of love and light to the family and friends of Mikhail Rogers. If you've been in the Node.js ecosystem, you know who this is. Sadly, Mikhail passed away. The announcement came today from the Node.js org. And there's actually a repo that's been put together by his friends, and it's just a remembrance space. So I will share the link to this. And if you ever interacted with Mikhail, you know he's a fantastic human being, and he's gonna be very deeply missed. So I'm gonna post a link to that repo, and if you wanna go by and just leave one of your memories of Mikhail, that'd be terrific. But thank you for being here again and sending love and light to his family and friends. All right, so we'll take a moment, gather ourselves again. And we are here today with a really exciting project. I mean, if you're here because you saw actually the chair, you know what we're going to be talking about. And if you're not, you're about to get to meet a company that's doing amazing things for a world in which we live in, folks. We can no longer be in denial of AI adjacent. We're now all AI in it. So it is absolute honor to be joined by Ivan, who is the CEO and founder of Daytona. Welcome, Ivan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Andrea. Great to be here.
I am so excited that you're joining us. I know this has been a long awaited. We have tried to make this happen for a bit now. I'm happy that we finally did it. We did
It's
it.
actually it's great because the first time we would have been in different products. We slightly pivoted since the original one. So I'm super excited that we ended up doing it now.
Oh my gosh, even better, because that's a whole other story, right? Like I love to hear how that decision was made for one, and then yes, this is super relevant. So perfect timing. Well, Ivan, thank you for being here again. I'll go ahead and share also your socials here, so if folks want to go ahead and give you a follow, they can. But we're gonna start from the beginning because I treat these streams under the assumption that no one knows what it is that your product does and why you build this thing. And now, since you just mentioned that it was actually a pivot move, I'm even more excited to chat about it. So, Ivan, welcome. You are the CEO and co founder of Daytona. What inspired you to create Daytona? And I want to know, I know you come from Code Anywhere. How is this different? How is this mission different? And like, why open source? Why Daytona? What is it that we're doing?
Sure. Let's start just with Daytona. Daytona is an infrastructure platform that essentially enables agents to run code, not just run code, but use a machine, use computer use play video games. We now have people that have agents playing video games on these things. Basically, when you think about an agent, to be able to do anything complex, download files, data visualization, data analysis, again, doing all sorts of things on your computer on your behalf, it really can't do that without a machine, and people haven't thought about it. There is, of course, the browser, but the browser is just one segment of it, right? And so basically Daytona gives a, let's call it agent native first sort of runtime for these agents. And so we offer that as a cloud service, but we also have it open source as well.
Beautiful. And so you obviously have an open source layer that you offer. And I have to know because obviously the landscape is evolving and even faster now with all of the need for infra and for AI. Why open source? Why did you decide to start there?
So when we thought about building the product itself, we think that one, that open source is a way first to give back to the community, because we talked about this a bit earlier before we got on the show. Like when I was starting originally, I'm dated. I'll mention that a bit later. I always look at the ones that helped us originally, be it through the open source of their project, so we can use that to a degree, obviously without compensation, but also the ones that gave us services, cloud services, also sort of free at that time. Because when you're a new startup, a new company, like every dollar counts, every cent counts. So like,
Yes.
how can you do that? Another thing is it also helps you with the trajectory of the project itself, because when you're building out in the open and everything is basically open source in Daytona right now, outside of the billing system, everything's out there in the repository. You can see by the users, like, are you on the right path? Are you not on the right path? And lastly, they can also hopefully help you sort of take on things that you don't have a chance to, and help you out with those things as well. So we've had people contribute not just to the documentation SDK, but to the core product as well. So I think those are all reasons why you do that. But I have to note that one of our investors, I won't name him here, when we decided to do open source, because we started as a closed source first and then did
Yeah.
open source. So it was like after. And he said, "You're crazy." He's like, if you're doing an open source,
No.
he said, it's like, it is creating an open source project and an actual for-profit company, they're both like getting struck by lightning, and you're trying to get struck by lightning twice. It's like you're trying to do it twice. He says that's frigging hard, and you should not go and do that. We still did that anyway. And so it seems that it's going in the right direction, and the lightning has hit twice, which is great, but it was like against their suggestions as well.
I love that. Listen, proving them wrong. This is amazing. This is amazing. Okay, so tell me a little bit about this pivot that you took into, because when we started chatting about you coming to Open Source Friday, we were going to talk about something completely different.
Yep.
But I wanna understand sort of like, what was the technical challenge that was there, and why did you decide to pivot? And then this thought of agents playing video games. I'm interested in how everyone here should understand why this matters. So yes, if you don't mind just kind of giving us a quick TLDR as to that pivot and
I can give you sort of like
there.
I give you background and then into the pivot and whatnot. So the first company out of school was a services company. And so we built out, server rooms, did virtualization. So actually, screwing in racks, HP, IBM servers, doing, using Microsoft Hyper-V, VMware, all these things like back in the early 2000s. That's why I say I'm dated. Sold that. The next company was Code Anywhere, as you mentioned at the beginning, which was, we started that in 2009. So that was like Code Spaces way before Code Spaces. Like we were super early.
I love that.
So it was a very, very, very long time ago. There was one point when GitHub was thinking about buying us, I have to tell that. And so that was interesting as well. But like very, very long time ago. But the fun thing is that because it was super early, we had to build everything ourselves. So the IDE, we had to build ourselves, the orchestration, the isolation of the runtimes, we had to do all these things. So first we did it like actual physically, then we did it sort of like virtually. That was early. After that, I started a conference, which I'll skip over, but it did get acquired by a competitor of Twilio. So this very large company that offers an API for SMS, WhatsApp, voice, and all messaging. So it was a developer tool as well, and run the developer experience there, and then left to start Daytona. So my entire history has been around infrastructure generally for developers. Hey, Jin, I'm great. Thanks for the question. I'm reading the questions at the same time. So I left that to start Daytona. Daytona started as a different sort of path. The idea was, it was an evolution of Code Anywhere. It was basically the infra layer of automating of dev environments and as you would know, like in large, I say tech first companies. So think like Google or Meta or Microsoft or whatever. As an engineer, everything's automated. You come, turn on your laptop, and you can work. If you work for any other company in the world, even the Fortune 500, 5,000, whatever, it's still very large pain. It's like, go to the README, spin up, locally Kubernetes, connect something local services locally, some remotely. It's just like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And so basically what we started as Daytona was, we call it a dev environment manager. We basically manage dev environments for large enterprises. And that's how we started. And we did that for about a year and something. And that was going great. We raised 2 rounds of funding, like super, like everything just great. And then agents became a thing. And then the agents became a thing. And so what happened is we did a demo integration with a agent company. And we were the runtime for that. Having no idea what agents were. This was like last fall. And we spun that up, and we just started getting inbound from people. It's like, hey, can you do runtimes for our agents? Can you do runtimes for our agents? We kept getting this question. And then you come to the point where you're like, oh, like, are you going to build for the past or for the future? And this sounds very bad, but we have to understand that when I started doing the research around this and building out the prototypes, mind you, I built out the prototype on New Year's Eve. So we mentioned my wife and baby girl, which was like a year old at that time, put them to sleep at 11 p.m. and then coded to like 3 a.m., sent it to my co-founder, went to sleep. He saw it in the morning. He said, and I quote, "This is garbage. I will delete this so no one ever sees that he's the CTO."
no.
By the way, he's like, "This is garbage. No one should ever see this, but you're onto something." And so he rewrote it, which is great. That's fine. That's his job. It's totally fine. But along with building that, we sort of looked and analyzed what the future looks like. And we got to this conclusion that the number of agents in the world will be the number of humans to the power of n. Like, I don't know what the power is, but it will be to a power of something that the humans are, right? So it will be vastly, vastly larger. And with that, if you think about what they will be doing, and we see this with like Copilot and things like that, they're already helping. And then you have autonomous coding agents like Devin or some others. We see that they will be the ones that are doing a lot of this, and all the tools that humans have, they will need, but they'll be different. And we can talk about this in a bit, how they are different, but they will be significantly different than the ones from humans. And so if you think from a market, like, or from a TAM, total addressable market, like just serving humans is great. But if you can serve humans to the power of n, that's insanely large. But not only is it large, it is definitely where the future is going, and you want to be part of that future. And so hence the beginning of this year, we sort of pivoted, quote unquote, similar product, right? We were orchestrating dev environments for humans. Now we do that for agents. So it's not a full pivot. So like the core of the product and our knowledge is the same, but the market and the go-to-market motion, or the customers to go-to-market motions, is significantly different.
Okay, so you're in the business now of supporting agent, I guess, agnostic infra, right? So regardless of where the agent is, and that is a massive job. Supporting like rapid, secure, and scalable workflows for agents is a tall order. One of the things that I found when I was researching you was your environment startup, like your time to startup, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, I just want to talk a little bit more about that. And then of course we want to see a demo. Like we got to see it in action if possible.
We'll try to do that. So yeah, we built the infrastructure from the ground up all ourselves. So we don't use like Kubernetes or anything as an orchestrator. We have our own that we built. It's called Daytona Runner. Very inspiring name. And so we've also built this on top of bare metal machines. So there's no cloud, like it's not like anything specific to AWS or Azure or anything like that. Obviously it can run on anything, including those clouds, but basically all you need is bare metal machines. And we do this for a couple of reasons. One is the speed. And so as it says on the website, it's under 90 milliseconds. I'll show you that spin up time, and hopefully it will work because I'm in Europe right now. So we'll see. I'm still connected to the US, but that is with latency. So it takes about 27 milliseconds to spin up the machine itself, sandbox, and then the latency to your agent. The second thing is why bare metal is also because of that. We can have multiple regions because we've already spun up 5 regions. We have East Coast, West Coast, UK, Germany, and India. So we can spin up as many as we want. And also it makes sense from an economical standpoint if we're building a cloud to build it from the ground up. Like we had the experience to do that, and so we decided to do that. So it's pretty fast. So under like 90 milliseconds, I think is super fast. Also, what's interesting, the way we built it is that you can think of it as an elastic cloud, but it is stateful, meaning that it can run forever. And by default, it's stateful. So when your agent spins up a sandbox, it will run forever until your agent turns it off or you have an idle timeout or whatever. Obviously, you can use it ephemerally, just like say there's a timeout, but it is stateful by default, right?
That's amazing. Okay. Yes, please. We wanna see it. 90 milliseconds is very impressive.
Yeah.
Let's see if there are any questions before we take a look at Daytona in action. And I mean, the need for speed, and I okay, so that's how it's so fast. You're like bare metals. That's how it's so fast. But because now that there are so many agents that are becoming autonomous, right? Like that need for speed and reliability is more important than ever. and you want to be able to orchestrate this really complex jobs and just let your agents go at it, and you need the infra to support that. So this is very unique.
Yeah, I can talk to you about like the difference between the infra, like why it's different from a human from an agent. And so like why I think this infrastructure is quite different from what an agent, what a human needs is that an agent needs three things basically. I'll go from the least important to the most important, I think. And so the least important is the speed, but it's still important because if your agent is in interactive mode, so think of like ChatGPT, like you don't want to wait 2 minutes for a runtime to spin up. Like you want it instantaneous, right? So in those scenarios, you want it really, really fast. And the second thing is that unlike a human can only work on one dev environment at the same time, maybe two if you're like really dialed in and a crazy person. I'm saying that in a positive sense, not a negative. But you can't do like 100 runtimes, but an agent can. And so we have this feature coming up. So I won't demo it just so it doesn't break, but it's coming up real soon, where the agent can take the state of a machine and literally fork it. It can fork the entire machine. So 5 times, 10 times, 100 times. So the agent can try 5 outcomes at the same time. So unlike a human where you will try to something, then you'll run it and see, oh, this doesn't work, roll back, do it again, do it again, do it again. An agent can just try all the variations in parallel because it can understand those things. We cannot, right? So you have to have an infrastructure that can support that. And that hasn't been built historically because humans have no need for this, right? And the third thing is what the new buzzword is agent experience, in the sense of we are now building for the agent. And Andre Kaparthi just had a talk at a YC startup school the other day, where at the end it was like build for agents. And so when we think about everything we do around this product, we think about how does the agent work with this? And so what does that mean? Basically, we obviously have API endpoints, so machine easy readable endpoints for spinning it up the machine, spinning it down, archiving, turning it on, turning it off, forking it, and all these things. But what happens when it enters the machine, right? Does it then have to parse the terminal as a human does? For us, that doesn't really make sense. So what we ended up doing is we built like an agent toolbox inside of each of the machines. So everything that a human coder would use is in there as well. So think of like file system operations, Git operations, or Git client, IDE. All these things are headless inside, and a terminal as well, sorry, headless inside of each sandbox with exposed APIs, meaning the agent doesn't have to navigate human interfaces, but rather it can have the ones that are native to it. And in that way, it uses less time, less context window, less tokens, and has a higher quality or probability of the outcome to achieve it.
And those are isolated sandboxes. So that's how you're able to have this sort of orchestra of trials.
Yeah, so basically each one is isolated completely with all the tools inside. And then you can basically do replicas of each of those and then try multiple at the same time.
Oh, wow. This is fantastic. I need to dig into the actual and play actually with it. I haven't. I like to be surprised, friends. This is why. I like to come and be equally as surprised as you are when you're watching the show. Let me take a look through the questions and see if there is something about testing the project service and collect performance statistics on response times. Let's see if I think that we talked a little bit about what's in the sandbox, so that might cover a bit of that. But then, can Daytona AI agents manage the full development life cycle of a project, like setting up the environment, creating a database, running the app, testing it, and generating performance or users reports automatically?
So, yes, for absolutely everything there. The usage reports, you will have to that'll be something that you'll set up or your agent will set up as well. But yeah, everything in there, our most common use case are coding agents, be it like the vibe coding type or the Devon which are fully autonomous. And that's why you'll see the tools that we've created for now are mostly geared towards software development, because either the agent is trying to code as the outcome. So it's like, oh, here's a Git repository. Let's, fork it, create a PR, solve a problem. Or it's trying to do something like data analysis, but it does that through code as well. So that's why it's set up. So absolutely, yes, you can do all those things. I have to note, which I forgot to mention, we just added a lot of things Docker related. And I know this is not show regarding Docker, but it is ready coding. What that means is Daytona uses a Docker image as its template. So inside of each sandbox, it's Docker. The Docker image is the template of that. And it's any Docker off the shelf. So basically your agent can use any Docker that already exists in the world. But what's interesting is your agent can create a net new Docker via the API as well. So basically, it can declaratively say, oh, none of the ones that are available are good for me. And instead of going somewhere, writing a Docker file, doing a build, and then sending it to a container registry, you can just say through the SDK or the API, I need a new one, and here are the dependencies I need. And Daytona will build that on the fly and open it up for it. So no human involved, completely for the agent. That's why I say when we talk about the agent, we think about the agent quite a bit. And of course, like you can take any Docker file off the shelves, Docker and Docker works, dev container supported, and all these things as well. So yeah.
That's amazing. I have to share that. I'm about 10-15% watching that talk you mentioned by Andrew. It's pretty good. Let me find the link and share it too, because it was for like a Andrej, a Y Combinator thing, right? Like, are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah. Karparthi. Yeah, it was the other day.
Karparthi.
And so he talks about software 3.0, and at the end, it's basically you need to build for agents. Like
that's it.
He said, agents are not here. It's not the year of the agent. It's the decade of the agent, but we do have to build for agents. There's one question from Yin. I'm just going to ask. I'm reading it at the same time.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Please listen. I'm a production of one here. So I appreciate you.
Helping you out. So Daytona AI is not an AI agent, Yin. So we support agents. So if you build an agent by yourself or use any of the frameworks, so like Mastra or LangChain or whatever it may be, then that agent calls Daytona as a tool. So you can think of Daytona as the laptop to a human. So if an agent is equal to a human, we are equal to a laptop, sort of like that.
Perfect analogy there. Okay. And then we have an even more relevant question from Rahat. And thank you all so much for being here and asking these questions. They're building an AI agent for interior decoration that involves image processing, furniture detection, recommendation logic. Will Daytona be a good environment to develop and run this agent? Wow.
This is like a perfect use case for that. So we don't have any agents that are using it for interior decoration. Note, I would remove the agent from where the runtime is, but if your agent needs to spin something up, CAD files, do 3D, whatever, SketchUp inside of Daytona, that would be great. So we don't have anyone doing that. So the interesting one, we do have people building video games. We do have people making video games, playing video games for agents, building and making video games, among the other use cases that we have that are more serious, but are quite interesting. So we don't have one like this, and happy to support you. Feel free to DM me directly, and happy to help you set this up.
Amazing. And last bit of the question, is there a way, recommended way to expose the agent via API so they can connect it to automation platforms?
So everything is open. So the ports you can open yourselves. So it's basically a machine. And so you have some default ports that are open, and then you can open any other ones inside of it. So it is a Linux box currently. There will be Windows and Mac, hopefully by end of year. But it's basically a Linux box. So anything that you can do on a Linux box, you can do here as well. So there's no limitations at all.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for taking a moment to answer those. And I'm going to be putting on the chat the repo, as well as you're seeing now Daytona.io's website there, so you can take it for a spin. Before we look at the demo, because listen, if everyone has ever watched this show, they know, like, I love this. This is one of my most favorite things that companies can do, and supporting startups has also become a mission of yours, even though you're a startup yourself. Before we started the live, you were telling me about this initiative that you have, and now speaking to like folks like Rahat and other people that are actually builders here, this is super relevant to them. Can you tell us a little bit about this startup initiative that you have, please?
Sure. We have something called a startup grid. It's our startup program where we're giving up to $50,000 worth of cloud compute credits. Obviously, there's the open source, and you can use that completely free, no issue. But if you want to use our cloud, up to $50,000. So it starts at 10, and then it can go upwards for eligible startups. Everything is on the website right here, Daytona.io/startups. You just fill out the form, and we will approve you if you fit in the eligibility right away. And as we talked, Andrea, at the beginning, it's basically a way to give back. Because I know when we talked about this, I remember Twilio specifically, when I was super young, I used them because, they gave us credits, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it was, but it was very meaningful for me at the time. And then when we ended up, working and building having a more successful startup, you're like, who do you use? You obviously use these ones. And so it works both ways. And if you ever not use it, it's also great. And it's just great to support people out there. So it's just a nice thing to do. And so we're happy to do that as well.
I love this. So folks, pay attention. If you are in this space and you're thinking about setting up the infra to run your agents, like this is it. Start here where you're getting this very generous, by the way. Go ahead and apply for the program, and that's great. Okay, let's see this in action, please. I'm excited.
Let me see if I can do this real
And
quickly.
Yael, Ivan is joining us from his vacation. So if we have issues with this demo, it's not the conventional setup, and also demos, live demos. This is how we know it's true. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to share my entire screen, so it's gonna swap in for a second.
that's okay.
Do you see my screen? You see my screen? Or no?
We are on. Yes, I see you now.
Great. So this is just like the Daytona dashboard here. I don't have anything running, I think, right now. And yes, I am on the seaside. So if my internet is laggy, I apologize for that. So I have no sandbox running. I do have a Jupyter notebook here with all like just the commands in there. So it's not going to be the most visual, but I do want to show you. And let's see how the first one is Daytona create. And let's create a sandbox. And so it took 0.5 seconds, but let me do it again. So here it is, 0.1, 0.1. It can't be under 0.1. So you see they're all created here right now. So when I say under 90 milliseconds, like I literally mean that. It can't show any number other than under the 0.1 seconds.
One, yeah.
So yeah. So that is how fast it takes. And mind you, right now I'm in Europe and I'm connected to the US one. So there is a network latency across the ocean to get it up and running, and it's still that fast. And so what this like really simple demo, I'm going to walk you through just some of the commands and how it looks from an agent's perspective and how we think about agents. So the first one is really easy. Can you execute code? And basically I'm just going to say print hello world, whatnot. That is super easy, not worth too much of your time, and it prints it out. Here's a command execution. So basically like a command in the terminal, and it's just going to say echo hello world from exec, and it does that, right? But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is what we call sessions, which is a terminal now, right? This is equal to a terminal, and you can have multiple sessions open, which is like having multiple terminal windows open. And here you can see we can execute one command. And why you need the session, it is because there's context of the prior commands, just like in your terminal. So if you do one command and do the next one, it has context from the one above that. So see, execute the first command, get the command details, then execute the second command in the session to see which environment variable is set. And so I'll run that really quickly. And in 1 second, it has done that. Not too important about what's running here. I just want to show you that it can do that. Also, we have charts as a first world citizen. These ones take a bit longer. Because data visualization, data analysis is a large use case, we made it so that agents don't have to figure this stuff out. They basically just send in the data and we can plot that out for them. There you go, runs it out. And so why I'm showing these examples is that your agent can, from a machine native way of work, send in commands and requests and get them back. It doesn't have to figure anything out as a human. Oh, I sort of missed on this, but basically when I was sending the commands earlier, you can see here that the command is just this here. So this is essentially like it's typing into a terminal window. There's other charts which I won't waste your time for, but let's say file system and creating the commands. There's a command to get the system root, create a new directory, set the permissions, create a new file, create the content in the file, and set the content, set the path, find in files, search in files, all these things that we as humans take for granted from our file explorer. All these things are now programmatic inside each Daytona sandbox. And this looks like a bunch of garbage here, but it's basically everything that has been executed above done instantly fast. Git, something that we all love. We're at GitHub's Open Source Friday podcast. So basically there's a Git client inside. So basically you just say sandbox git clone, the Git repo I want, the branch that I want, and it will do that. I was going to say instantaneously. This took longer. It might be my internet. So
I mean, it's
now
been
that
moving pretty fast
live,
so far.
Yeah. So it's live now because this is not supposed to take that long. So obviously my internet connection, I'll do that one more time, but yeah, I broke it. So because I have to do a new one, sorry. But anyway, that took much, much longer than it should be. Also, language server protocol. So the key part of an IDE that we have is also headless in here. So you can start a language server here, just like TypeScript, and then you can go like search for symbols, fix the error in document, and you can notify, get code completions, all the things that you take for granted inside of VS Code or whatnot. It is here headless for the agent itself. And this one was fairly fast as well, which is great. Lastly, sandbox management, just turning them off, killing them and whatnot. So this will just list the sandboxes. I spun up 4 of them. They're their IDs, and I can stop them and whatnot. Very, very simple demo. But one thing I just can add on top of that we didn't talk about as well. We do make this for agents, but we do have human in the loop as well, meaning that if you want as a human to debug it, right now we have a terminal access for any of the sandboxes.
Oh,
let's go internet, or my internet here. So sorry for the internet. So basically, I have a full-on terminal here and access to that machine I was working on right away. In the next update coming, there will be a VS Code in the browsers in there and SSH access. So you can connect with your cursor, or you can connect it for other use cases. The idea is that agents will get stuck and some things might not go as planned. So we want it seamless that the human can access that as well. And the human using Daytona will probably be through an agent. So you, as the developer of your app, you can pass this through these URLs to your end user, and then the end user can debug that specifically. So that's it. I don't have a fancier demo right now, unfortunately.
No, this is great. This is great. Now, you mentioned SSH. Like, how does it handle security? I wonder. Like, how do you handle like credentials and because you're running like multiple development environments, basically each sandbox. So how does that work? How do you keep code secure?
So there's authentication to each of those, and so we define what is enabled. Right now, you as a user and your organization has certain rules or what they can see inside the sandbox. That's you as the developer of the AI agent. And then you can expose ports to the end user, but those are completely open, right? So there's no authentication there. So there's another application that we give to people that are building agents, which is a proxy. So then I don't know if you saw the URL real quick. The URL is daytona.work. So you don't want to expose Daytona's URL. You want to add yours, whatever it is, myagent.com. So you can add your URL and you can do authentication layer on top of that. So we have a boilerplate application that we give to customers that they can run it on their services for the authentication of access of ports for their end users and the proxy of the URLs as well.
Okay, that's great to know. And also, by the way, that was a delightful developer experience. Like that looks super accessible to me. Like, having never seen it, I love it. I love it. That was delightful. Let me take a quick look through the questions and see if there is any. Jean with the super thoughtful questions. Thank you. How does it translate into real world improvements for AI development workflows compared to traditional CI/CD or cloud virtual machines?
Well, I think there's a lot of things there. One, again, is speed and statefulness. I think those are the 2 most important ones. Obviously, there's scale on the big clouds, but all the tools that we've created for the agents, the declarative image builders, we've also added something called, we haven't mentioned this as well. So if you work locally, you probably have like multiple Docker containers on your machine. And if there's a large data set that you have to share across containers, it's really easy to do that with Docker volumes. It's like super easy to do. We didn't do it on purpose to call it like Docker volumes, but we have something called Daytona volumes. And why that exists is, and this is also the large clouds don't have that, is that if your agent has a large data set that has to share across multiple sandboxes, the agent can invoke a Daytona volume, which is like an object store, download or upload whatever it wants there. It could be 100 gigabytes, terabyte, whatever it is, and then attach that as mounted as a network drive to one or multiple sandboxes. And so these things are the things that we think about every single day, is like, how do we get an agent? Because an agent, sorry, I went too fast. Because these are isolated 100% and not on your machine, it's very hard to share among. You have to like open up port, do the authentication layer and all these things. In this way, an agent doesn't have to think about anything. It's like, oh, here's my store. I'll download it once and I'll attach it. And this is all available through our API and SDK. So it's like everything that we do is for agents first. And that is not something that you will see in any of the large clouds right now. All the clouds that are created for humans first. And everything that we do, we think about agents for. That is like our number 1 customer.
You are ahead of the times, my friend, because that is where we're going for sure. This is fantastic. I mean, imagine if you're working on whatever you're working on, and you can have your little army of agents working in tandem with you. Appreciate the human in the loop, being able to spin up the terminal, and then you can go in yourself. And delightful, absolutely delightful. Okay, let me see. Let me make sure I'm not missing any other questions. There was a question earlier, and thank you, Jorge. Sorry for the delay in answering. I saw it earlier about you're working on a data system to predict extreme climate changes. Will this AI tool work with geodata? So you're creating an agent that will do that?
Yes. So the agent itself, we would not build. So if you build an agent for this to analyze geodata, your agent would need a runtime to analyze that data. And that's like a perfect use case of what we do. So the answer is yes. Again, we don't build the agent, but if you're building an agent that does this, the agent would need a runtime, a sandbox to be able to analyze all the geodata. And yes, we can provide that for the agent specifically.
All right. Awesome. Let's see. We have taken a look at how it works. Delightful, I repeat, developer experience there. I've shared the repo. What kind of contributions are you looking for? I know you have an SDK. Is the SDK open source as well?
Yeah. It's also open source as well.
It's all open source. All right, beautiful. And I see like there is a ton of stars on the repo. I'm gonna post it again so that folks go by and leave a star, please. Let's get this repo trending. You have a strong community. You have a strong community. What kind of contributions are you looking for? I see that there are some issues that are already open. Where would you like the community to kind of come in and see where they can be the most impactful?
I mean, everything helps. Documentation is like we're trying to make it as best as we can, but it's still like very useful if someone can help out with docs, of course, the SDK, the product itself, if they see bugs, but even just opening issues like, oh, this doesn't work as it should be, or this breaks it, whatever. Even just opening issues is really, really helpful. So we can iterate and sort of like take care of these paper cuts as fast as we can. So basically anywhere from like opening issues, solving issues, helping out with the documentation or the SDK, anywhere that they feel comfortable, we're really, really happy to get their contributions.
Amazing. So listen, if you've been waiting for a project that you think is going to be super relevant to the current landscape, this is a good one for you to invest your time to go in and start participating in. Because my gosh, we're going to need infra. We're going to need it for all of those projects, for the interior decorating agent, for the climate change geodata analyzer agent, and for the video game playing agents. What? Like, amazing.
Well,
amazing.
it's chasing. If you think about it, like AlphaGo, when it was like the AI beat the human, and then in chess as well. And so, like, when will AI beat you at Counter-Strike? And so, my brother is big in the Counter-Strike industry. Like, he works in that industry, and we were talking about this the other day. And it's like, what's the point if an AI will at some point beat humans? I was like, it does, and then it beats humans, and that's it. It's like interesting to think about it, and then humans go back to like fighting themselves because there's no point because the AI has already won.
Because they're so good at it. Okay, this is cool. They still need us. No, we still need to build the thing. So awesome. All right. So what's next? What's coming up for Daytona? What's on the roadmap for the next couple of months that you're okay sharing?
So yeah, there's a lot of things. Mostly it's going to be things around computer use. So I didn't do a demo of computer use because that's still in beta as well. So the computer use as well. It starts with Linux computer use. The interesting thing that we're trying to do around, and just to explain to people that are listening, computer use is basically the agent using the visual, desktop as we do as humans. And I, as a person, am very much opposed to that work for agents. Like, I don't think agents should use human interfaces. I think they should use agent or at least machine interfaces. But with a caveat, there are use cases when I'll give you an example. So you need an agent to do, testing of a desktop application. So it has to do it in a visual way because there's no other way to do that. But the way we're going to build it is that the agent will use the command execution or the container use, I'm going to call it, that you just saw by default, and then only fall back or fall front to computer use visual interface if that is the way to access the thing that it's supposed to do, achieve the task it's supposed to do. So that's the first thing. And so we're that Linux first. After that, we'll be Windows and Mac, and after GPUs. And so there's what we're thinking about. So all the machines right now are CPU machines, and so we have to build it out for GPUs and Mac and Windows as well. So getting the able to do everything humans do. Because think about it, like Mac is a large part of it, but Windows is the majority, and the vast majority of applications there. You want agents to be able to interact. You have to create infrastructure that support that.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I think we did amazing with the hotel Wi-Fi up to this point. It started breaking up a little bit, but that's okay because we're at the end. So thank you so much for that. You'll have to come back because I'd love to have a conversation about that, what you just shared, how you have a very clear distinction of the human agent, human, and that exposure. Like that's interesting. I want to know why, but that's a long conversation for another time. But Ivan, thank you so much. Let's say call to actions, and I think you might be a little bit frozen, or it might be me, y'all. It might be my internet saying it's Friday. Like, what are you doing? But if it's not, we'll give it a moment to see if we can get you back. Okay, I think we're back. Can you hear me now?
Entire time, but I'm breaking up, it seems.
Yeah, it's breaking up a tad bit. Yeah. But that's okay. Listen, we did fantastic. I can't believe it. We did 40 minutes of hotel Wi-Fi, so I'm impressed. But thank you so much for coming by, Ivan. I'm going to give you one brief moment to see if you can come back and say goodbye. And if not, then we're going to start closing it out. Friends on the chat, if you did not get your answer from the conversation or you have a very specific question, I think Ivan is very genuine when he says DM me. There you are. Maybe we got you. Yay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
Excellent. So if you have any other questions, if you are building, if you're a startup and you think you might fit the criteria, go check it out and apply for their startup program. Super generous of you to do that. And then if you're thinking about, listen, if you're jazzed about any of this, like go in and take a look at the repo and see where you can start contributing. Thank you for mentioning that, you're looking for help in every aspect. So it can be documentation, it can be some of the current issues that are already open. Just go by the Daytona, first leave a star, and then start digging in to see how you can contribute. Amazing. All right. So I'm excited for the future of Daytona. You'll have to come back in a few months and demo the new things. But thank you so much, Ivan. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Andrea, so much. And I heard everything, although I fell out for some reason. And yeah, anyone can DM me either in our Slack, on Twitter, or on LinkedIn. Feel free to. I'm happy to. I'll get back to everyone as soon as I can. So, and thank you so much. Hopefully, we get stars and trending again. I love being trending on GitHub. And thank you, Andrea, for finally we got this done. So thank you.
We did it, but this is part one. Yeah. We'll have to come back. We'll have to meet again. Okay, Ivan. Well, you go enjoy the rest of your vacation, and we'll see you when you come back. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Folks, this is very exciting stuff. I love how we're having to think out the box to build solutions that are moving as fast as the needs that the industry is showing. And that felt delightful. Like I really enjoyed that demo. It looked like a really lovely and like kind of native experience. Like it wasn't anything. I really was wondering what's this going to look like, especially if you're someone that's lived in the world of containers and Docker and Kubernetes, and you understand the complexity that goes behind setting up all these different environments. I was wondering what that was going to feel like, and it felt very just easy, breezy. So I'm excited to dig in myself. If you are building an agent and you're looking for infrastructure to support it, give Daytona a go. Open source first with a very generous offer for startups. So make sure you apply for that program. Follow Ivan on social. Let me once again share Ivan's Twitter link so that you can go ahead and give him a follow. And then, yeah, I can't wait to see if you actually participate with Daytona, if you take a look and start becoming one of the contributors, or if you start using it. Do give me a tag. Let me know that you did, because I actually do love to get to know what you folks are working on, and it's always nice to see that you actually got to see something new here and then went off and used it. So you can go ahead and give me a ping on that. All right. So I appreciate you all being here. We will see you next week for another Open Source Friday. In the meanwhile, if you enjoyed a little bit of new segment at the beginning of the pre-roll before we came on live, you can watch the entire playlist of that on our playlist in YouTube. If you're watching this anywhere else, please go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. We're close to a milestone, and I'd really love to get there before the end of the month. So go by, watch the rest of all the different tech news. And I'm not wearing that super bright t-shirt all the time, so your eyes won't burn. but come by and just kind of geek out. And if this has been helpful, please leave us a comment. Let us know. We'll see you next week. Next week, we got an exciting project that actually came through the GitHub Accelerator. And we are actually going to introduce a new host to the program. So this is going to be an exciting time for all of you who are going to be here Open Source Friday next week. So can't wait to see you. Please like and subscribe. Take care now. And I'm going to leave you with my favorite jingle because I haven't heard it in a while. And we're talking about agents. So here is our GitHub Copilot coding agent. And if you haven't used it yet and you have a Copilot license, you know you can go and assign a task to this bad boy. And it's going to go do all the work for you.